Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Good afternoon, everybody. There's a slight delay. We're going to go live to everybody that's online. We're going to go actually live at 3:15. Thank you for joining us. And we, like I said, are going to go live here at about 3:15. Thank you for your time.
Nothing feels better than to know you, and nothing's more important than to show you that nothing comes close to what the vibe is. Nothing's more exciting than the time spent with you. No one but you can love me true. How you love me when you love me and you tell me everything is gonna be alright. Yeah, and you mean the world to me. You are my everything, and I never ever wanna know what it's like without you. I wanna wake up to you every day. I think I feel like this forever, as long as we're together. Wanna know you each and every way. I promise to be honest when I speak to you. Wanna put you at the top of my list. Wanna walk it like I talk it. Wanna give you everything. Please tell me that you're rocking with this. You know all the ways to speak to me. I like it when it's just us talking.
Check 2, 3. Thank you.
Said I woke up to the summer shining through. Calling on my friends asking what's the move. Feeling a little different, I'm on something new.
Do we have a particular time that we're eating? Oh, we can get snacks whenever. Okay. I can be the cupbearer for those snacks if you need me to make sure that everything is okay. Okay, and thank you for those of you who are logging in online. Welcome, welcome, welcome to an amazing opportunity. An amazing opportunity. And we have a couple more minutes. Um, if you're watching and you are aware of maybe people who are aware of helping somebody, helping with this national issue, this state issue, this local issue of homelessness, some of it is hopelessness, and even addressing doing something to build to our youth. If you know somebody that is operating in that area, that is passion for them, or that is their area of authority, feel free to hook them up, to call them and tell them that we're online and that there are amazing opportunities right here in Oklahoma City to be a part of a solution right here in Oklahoma City. Okay, and I think I have a couple more minutes, so we'll take those of you again that know people that are involved in youth, that have a heart for youth, that have a heart for helping people, have a heart for building people up. This is a great opportunity and a great time for you to be a part of something amazing right here in Oklahoma City. We just happen to be located on the south side. We're not limited on the south side, but our headquarters is on the south side, 5716 South Harvey Court. And call your buddies, call your friends, and have them to tap into where we are. And we have maybe another minute before we will officially start. We have a couple more minutes, I hear, before we officially start. And again, this is an opportunity to be a part of something amazing that our nation is dealing with. Again, our state is dealing with it. We're dealing with it locally in Oklahoma City, and I would even say in a district. In our district, our area right here in Oklahoma City, we're dealing with some very serious issues that people need help. Not only do they need help, they need consideration. They need people who care. They need people who will walk with them through this, what I call this life journey, with some keys and some help. So it looks like we're ready. My name is Michael Johnson. I'm one of the pastors here at the Refreshing Campus, and it gives me pleasure to be able to stand to talk to you about something that has been a part of us for Blanche, I would say probably for almost 40 years. But before we do that, we always like to start. Can we just start with prayer? Father, we just thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to be able to bring forth consideration, love, hope, care, direction, guidance. We thank you, God, that we have that on the inside of us. And we thank you, Father, that even though that there are great needs, that we're not going to continue to think about what we can't do, but we're coming together as a team. And we thank you for a team. And we do know that, God, that team ministry is your idea. And we thank you, Father, that as we come together, that we're coming together to demonstrate really your love. In Jesus' name, let everybody say amen. Again, I am Michael Johnson, one of the pastors here, and I say one of the pastors because I am a firm believer in team ministry. I don't think that any ministry, any organization should just lean on one person. So you hear me saying they call me the executive pastor. I say I'm one of the pastors here at the Refreshing Campus, and I want to say welcome and thank you for coming to what we consider the Refreshing Tiny Home Initiative. Can we just say that the refreshing? That right there is that's refreshing enough. A refreshing, and it's called Tiny Home Initiative. And it means that, and let me say this, if you are here, that means we highly esteem you. That means that we want you to be a part of something amazing, something that we are a part of. And I want to say thank you for taking your time out, especially a Saturday. Thank you for taking a Saturday out to come and to see what are we doing to deal with a situation, as I said, that is a national issue. Not only is it a national issue, it is a state issue. Not only is it a state issue, it's a city issue. And I would say it's a district issue is because I still, at this point of ministry, I still have people that are sleeping outside my office. And I haven't had, they've been, and it's because they're homeless. They don't have anywhere to go. I have not been very good at telling them to leave. As a matter of fact, I have to get help. It's because I will invite them in. I will feed them. I will love them. I will do whatever it takes. And then some of the other pastors have to say, Pastor, we've got to do something else because they're about to take over. But my question has always been not what we can't do, but what is it that we can do. I'm excited about this initiative. I do want to say I'm even more excited because I've watched one of our sons of this house, he's been carrying this for a while. I remember, Steve, you remember us going to Atlanta. You remember us talking many times because Steve just has real and authentic, a real sincere heart for people who need help. And so this is not anything that we just came up with. This is something that actually this ministry has been doing for almost 40 years. We've been working with young people. We've been helping young people. We housed young people. We helped young people. They had all kind of issues and all kind of things that was going on in their lives and their families. And our goal was to, what is it that we can do to help? Now it's just time for us to take it to another level. I want to say thank you, Steve, for pressing in to make sure that not only do we have it in our heart, but how many of y'all know it has to move beyond the heart, and we have to start seeing some things happen so that we can help the people. And he's been working very hard to make sure, and not hard, but working smart to see what can we do to help this national, this state, this local, and this district issue of homelessness, and I would say hopelessness, and I have to say do something that we can help our young people get on their feet. And this is what this is about. Pastor Blanche is going to come. She's going to share more in detail about it, but I just wanted to get up to say, if you're here because we highly esteem you. And we want you to be a part of something that we believe is amazing. We want you to be a part of something that will help a lot of our young people. That will help a lot of our homeless people. And, of course, help those that are in need just in difficult areas in their life. And so, again, thank you for coming. I'm sure those of you that are watching online, I do encourage you to stay connected to us. Call us. You can get connected. The telephone number that you can call is area code 405-361-1857. That's a number you can call if you want more information about this initiative. Again, remember what the initiative is? It's the Refreshing Tiny Home. It's the refreshing
home
community.
homeless.
Oh, okay.
Initiative.
All right.
Yes.
Well, see, Blanche and I had that because we know what it is in our heart, but we want to make sure and keep it as simple as we can. So, if you will say, "Come on, Steve, bring it." Amen. And let's hear what this young man has to do. Pastor Blanche, you're going to come first? Okay.
Yes,
all
I'm
right.
gonna pass the mic.
Oh, you need mine? Okay.
And I just want to say again, welcome to everybody. We're in a movement for real, y'all, okay? But I wanted to, Daniel, if you'll go to the next, and I'm just going to run through a couple of slides to give you some background. In 1999, really prior to 1999, Pastor Michael, who was Michael Johnson, had a group called the Oklahoma Christian Posse, almost 100 young people from across, from across the state that came together. And actually today in the ministry, some of those same young people are now active in the ministry. And I'm saying that because I want you to know that this has been a movement for a long time. But in 1999 is when we actually accepted the call to begin an actual work called the Refreshing. And that was because of all of the children who were coming out of gangs and different things. And when they would go to the local churches, people were fearful, okay? And at that time, the Holy Spirit spoke to us and said, okay, time to shift. You got to go prepare a place. And at that time is when we made a move. We were on 44th, and Bryant had one of the first Christian clubs where the young people could come. And he says, okay, it's time to move. And so we wound here by the grace of God. We got this particular facility. And the vision, I did intentionally want you to see what the call was then. And that was to provide a place where people can experience a refreshing of love, hope, and purpose through teaching, training, equipping, and releasing. And then our mission, and it still is the Refreshing is an evangelistic and discipling ministry focusing on responding, and here's the key, to the environmental needs of the 21st century. So that means we're constantly moving. And I'll just go to the next. I'm going to turn it over to Stephen. In 2016, the Lord led Pastor Michael again to push us into yet another arena, and it was the kingdom to culture. In other words, getting out of the church, if you will, and getting out into the communities. And it was our K2K vision, still is, which brings us to where we are in 2023. But mobilizing believers to advance beyond the pulpit, influencing society through the ministry of reconciliation. Mission, to serve as a universal expression of the agency called the church and extend our servanthood of humanity through the family, faith, education, business, media, arts, entertainment, and government units. And the strategy was to gather. And you're part of that now, to gather, to strategize, and connect with other allies in offering hope and change to the present culture. That was in 2016. Fast forward, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen, and he'll tell us how we got where we are today. Thank you.
Greetings, everybody. Good afternoon. Glad that you could be with us. Like they stated earlier, if you're here with us today, it's for a reason, because we're looking to actually galvanize our partnerships, our networks, as we push forward with the Refreshing Homeless Tiny Home Community Initiative. Just to give a little background, like Blanche was saying, my mother was saying, is this has been a dream and a vision for, first of all, her, and then Johnson, and the Refreshing as a body for a very long time. We got to this point not knowing what it was we were supposed to do, especially with what he's blessed us with in this facility. We've done a lot of different things with the facility, with the community, and trying to assist and to help wherever we could. We've done a lot, but we've been afforded the opportunity here lately to be able to make all of those dreams and those visions come to fruition. So that's what brings us here today. I just want to, and I got a few points that I'm gonna touch upon, just so you guys can kind of see what it is, where it is, and where we'll be going. We've been blessed enough to be able to partner up with Pivot. Pivot is an organization that has been in the business of providing shelter, saving youth from the streets for a long time, since late 70s. And what they've done is they said that, the need is too great. The need is great out here. And if anybody is in a position, organizations, agencies are in positions to be able to model what it is that we've done, then we want to call you to the table. And like I said, what they do, they have a 11-acre facility over off of 50th and Lincoln, and they have housing for homeless youth, transitional programs, just to meet the whole body of youth. So we've been afforded the opportunity to partner up with them. We're in a position to actually, build our land similar to what they've got over there. And if you don't know who they are, I would urge you to go take a look at their website and take a look at, the work that they're doing. Now, what I'm going to outline for you is just what are the program concept, first of all. Program concept is to provide for the continued operation of existing services, housing, and other programs for the benefit of children and young adults who are without parental supervision that would otherwise be homeless, as well as those engaged in child welfare systems and at-risk homelessness. Our goal is to provide programs and services that focus on meeting housing and basic needs, education and job assistance, mentoring and life skills, development, prevention, intervention services, and therapeutic care. So we notice that that's going to be a mountain of things that all of these youth need as they come in off the streets and as they need different services. The targeted populations are, of course, in foster care or aging out individuals, juvenile justice system related, those experiencing homelessness. Now, who we need at the table, and that's part of the reason why we're here today, those individuals, those agencies that we need at the table are going to be the funder. Of course, we've identified funding sources, and we feel really confident that we'll be able to secure the funding that we need to be able to engage and to move forward in this operation. So that's key, and that's why we're where we are now. We're ready. We're just trying to galvanize all of our partnerships, agencies that are going to be connected to us in that sense. It's going to take the whole community, and this is really just a introduction of the vision to the village. That's, essentially what we're doing. And the connector needs to be here, so a person that basically is a liaison. We're gonna need the building expert, therapist, operations guru. So the list goes on as far as those areas in which we're going to have to identify and then actually have them partner with us so that we can, make this vision or push this vision to the next phase. And if you guys, as we get into this, if you have any questions, chime in. I know those online have the ability to chime in and ask questions or either type them. We have somebody there available to be able to answer any questions that you may have. I also wanted to just give you guys an outline on the actual concept. The concept is this. Providing existing services, housing, and other programs for the benefits of children and young adults who are without parental supervision and would otherwise be homeless, as well as those engaged in child welfare systems at risk of homelessness. We will provide programs and services that focus on meeting housing and basic needs, education and job assistance, mentoring, and life skills development. So that's wraparound services. We're gonna need, the whole gamut as far as professional individuals with the skills to be able to treat these individuals as they come in to see us. Just some examples of the programs that we're going to need to implement. And what we've done is we've modeled what Pivot is doing. We've modeled everything that they're doing. They open up the books to us to say, hey, here's our operations plans, here's our logistics plans, here's our architectural plans. So what we're doing is modeling everything. They've given us the okay. They even said that they will, walk with us in this journey. So anything that we need from them, they will provide. They said that, they're available to us. They've given us, like I said, all of their funding sources. They're private investors. They say, hey, we're giving it all to you guys. So, like I said, the purpose of this particular meeting is just to start the process. We know that, we're not going to be, this is the first of many. We know that we're not going to be able to get everybody at this particular time as we continue to fill out everything that we need to do as far as operationally, logistically. We'll be in contact with those individuals and those agencies that we know will need to be a part of the conversation and at the table. So what Pivot has going that we're going to mimic is in the areas that they're going to be, or the areas that we're going to be servicing kids. They have a program called Skill, and what that is the acronyms is SKIL, supporting kids in independent living. So really, the tiny homes piece is just a catalyst. It's just a catalyst to the wraparound programs that we're going to be implementing. The tiny homes piece allows us the ability to get the operation dollars, the construction dollars, et cetera. We do have an individual that will be facilitating the application processes, and doing all the grant writing for us. We have deadlines, and I'm not going to really touch on, any of the funding sources or whatnot. She has that, and as we continue to move forward, she'll present those to you. But say, for instance, they have a program called Support Kids in Independent Living. And what they do, and I'm giving you these examples because we'll need to actually adopt, some of these same programs or whatnot, and I'm going to tell you the areas that they address. So young people living on their own without parental support are at great risk of being presented with difficult barriers to overcome. We will provide a comprehensive array of services, ensuring young people have access to the resources in these areas: safe and stable housing, education, post-secondary education, job skills, readiness, life skills training and practice, positive, supportive relationships. So that's one phase of, or that's one aspect of the program in which we'll need one component of it. And another is the Family Junction Emergency Youth Shelter. And basically what that is, for a variety of reasons, there are young people in the metropolitan area who will need safe and secure temporary place to stay. At some point, we will be in a position to provide 24-hour facility for at least 16 youth between the ages of 12 and 17, plus 2 monitored bedrooms are available when needed. Okay, so what the purpose of this particular function would be is for individuals that have law enforcement involvement. They can come to a place where they don't have to go and be involved with adult inmates, etc. They have a place where we'll hold them, do some assessments with them and see exactly what it is that they need pushing forward. The next piece is a skills education program. So when bad decisions result in consequences such as getting in trouble with the law negatively impacts kids and their families, everyone deserves a chance to learn from their mistakes. So that's the piece where we'll need, of course, counselors. We'll need therapeutic care, community intervention, just from all levels and all areas. Like I said, I'm not, really going to hold you, but I just wanted, like I said, to introduce the vision to the village, and that's what we'll be doing moving forward. And like I said, this is just a forum so that we can all meet together and you guys could basically see what it is, what's the next phase for this ministry moving forward. Now, like I said earlier, if we have any questions, the floor is open to that. Shayna, you have somebody?
Yes, I do have someone in our chat that asked the question of, at this time, can you define the type of business partnership this would be? Would this be a strategic, active managing partner, or sleeping partnership, like silent partners?
Just depending on, what component, you hold. Because there are multiplicity of partners that we're going to have, and they're probably all going to be in each one of those categories that you named or mentioned. So specifically, is there a piece that you're asking for? Whoever asked the question.
I'm typing. He hears.
Gerald?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you for this invitation. I appreciate y'all opening up the doors and making this opportunity available to those in the kingdom. The question really just is mostly about how the relationship or how the partnership is currently defined between refreshing and pivot. I just kind of wanted to get a little bit more of an idea. I understand they're opening the books. They've basically given the opportunity to replicate what they're doing. But I just from a business standpoint, I just wanted to know if you could kind of touch on just what is the partnership relationship, how would you define that, or can you at this point define it between church and pivot?
Well, I know that specifically you, Gerald, you have, your own programs and whatnot that you've already, launched and have off the ground. And to your question, when the funds come in, when the resources come in, we'll have partnerships in the sense of whatever it takes. We'll write you into the initial applications to the PUDs. Once we, find out and identify who those partners is with those particular programs that we need. But when the overall funding comes in, then we'll definitely at that point, find out what it is that you need for your program, what this agency needs for their program, and we'll write it into our overall application that we send up.
Thank you.
Okay, so as far as the community partnerships that we'll be looking for, specifically, we're looking in the realm of the physical health services, mental health services, family therapy, treatment programs, employment, job training programs, mentoring, housing, faith, community literacy programs, recreational programs, social services programs, transportation programs, the arts, law enforcement, juvenile justice, business marketing, government agencies, state agencies, government officials. So these are all the individuals and components that are going to be needed to make this thing move. So what we're going to do, or what we've provided in the package, is just the same printout document that you guys can actually turn these back into us. But whatever area you see that that you have people, you have a network in, list those and basically turn those back into us so that we can start galvanizing those and connecting with those on another level to where, as we get closer, as we meet our benchmarks or whatnot, we can start pulling on those individuals and writing up the overall proposal or the application that we have to submit. Our first one that we'll be submitting, the huge one, is going to be in September. So like I said, this is just a precursor for us, establishing those partnerships, finding out which ones we're going to need, who we're going to need, and then basically writing them into our overall plan. Any other questions in the house? Glad to see you, Mr. Pettis. I know you had a couple of questions and whatnot for me initially. I know that your expertise is in housing and whatnot. Do you have anything that you could bless us with as far as things that we'll need to know up and coming?
Not right now.
Okay. Who all do we have in the house? If we could just basically, get an introduction, what it is, who you are, and what, your component is that you believe that, you could possibly bring to the table. And we'll start with you, sir.
Hi, everybody. My name is Temi. I'm a therapist, a licensed behavioral health practitioner. That's what I bring to the table.
Thank you, sir, for being here.
John Pettis, retired and from housing.
Dwayna Newcomb, and I'm a ministry partner with Travis, but I also am a really resourceful person that has worked in ministry and outreach ministry for a long time.
My name is Travis Rollins. I'm the pastor of the True Light Missionary Baptist Church. We're in East Oklahoma County.
My name is Marva Banks. Just Marva. I'm an attorney here in Oklahoma County, and my focus is on criminal defense and obviously for adult situations, so anyone over 18. But I also, as a public defender, part of my office, they have a separate juvenile division, and I know that there are people there and also people in my office that handle different services that I can at least get in contact with and perhaps bring to the table.
Yes. Thank you. That's exactly what we'll be needing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Reese.
I am a part of the Refreshing Ministry as well as an educator in the Oklahoma area.
Thank you. So, I'm sorry.
I'm Shayna Lewis. I'm also a part of the Refreshing, and I'm a business strategist.
My name is Quintrell Johnson. I'm a mental health therapist. I'm a therapist also at St. Anthony Hospital in their mental health department. So I work with adolescents. I've been working with them since 2012. I also work at Oakwood Springs. So I do assessments on people who's coming in for crisis stabilization and chemical dependency.
I am Giovanna Johnson. I am a paralegal at the Oklahoma County Courthouse. So I do have connections with attorneys, law enforcement, and the judges.
I'm Destiny Washington. I work for the OMES, Office of Management Enterprise Services. So government, I have connections there.
My name is Nick Camper. I'm a local TV reporter. I also have connections with government agencies or government officials and don't mind reaching out to anybody else if we need to find somebody.
That's awesome. Oh, yes. I'm Ricky. I'm a Refreshing Kingdom citizen, and I own and operate a cleaning business.
I am Shamika Oguntimalayan. I work in the mental health profession. I'm a therapist, and I also work with Oklahoma City Public Schools as an educator.
Boom. My name is Anita. I'm on the ministerial staff here at the Refreshing Campus, and also I work in the arts.
I'm Daniel Cater. I'm an electrical power systems engineer, and I work in the media team here.
My name is Calvin Johnson. I do music production, and I also have creative thinking. I help a lot with that. And I also run sound here at the Refreshing.
If you guys would, just introduce yourself and what it is you do.
Hello, I am Dakisha Pete. I am a licensed alcohol and drug counselor candidate. I work for OKCPS with students currently.
Hello, my name is Damilola Akintola. I'm a licensed drug and alcohol counselor, and I work at the Recovery Center.
Okay, good. And as you can, oh, I'm sorry.
And then you too. My name is Blanche Washington, and I bring administrative, personnel management, all of that. And I am retired from that, but carry the skill. So I'm also co-pastor with Pastor Michael here at the Refreshing.
Yes. And I'm Thomas Williams, I'm part of the Fresh Ministry as well. I have administrative business skills as well, and I'm also in real estate. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. As you can see, we have an array of individuals. Who did I miss? Online, I'm sorry. Go ahead, online.
Go ahead, Gerald.
Okay, yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Gerald Scott. I'm the founder and executive director of Star Foundation, which is a 501c3 faith-based nonprofit that focuses on mentoring programs for justice-involved youth and life skills for adults.
We also have Keith from YouTube, which he is the owner of CSBK LLC, a construction company in Dignity Park. He said that this is a proposed plan for community for homelessness.
Yes, thank you, guys. And we're going to need all of you in your individual and collective efforts to make this thing happen. And like I said, this is just the introduction, to what it is, introducing the vision to the village. We do, appreciate all of you guys coming out. And if you do have any additional questions, or if we just need to network a little bit amongst ourselves, we can do so. Was there something else that I'm missing?
Yes, I think we do have time, and Pastor Michael will help me here. It's not quite 4, and maybe we can have some table discussions of just what are you hearing? And let's do that just for a few minutes. Again, the refreshments are here. Feel free to please consume them. Okay.
Could we possibly start with Mr. Travis Rollins, please?
Yes.
If you don't mind, just give us a little bit about your experience and what you see as a possibility in moving forward in this initiative.
Stephen put me on the spot. So one thing we determined that God works in mysterious ways to us. And sometimes we got to see what it is he's trying to tell us. Sometimes we miss the picture. God is speaking to us, and he's speaking to us clearly, and we just not listening to what it is that he's trying to say to us. So Stephen and I worked together, and God just kept putting homeless people in our paths. It's like it was an everyday thing. He just kept putting homeless people in our paths. And I was like, Stephen, what is
homeless teens?
Homeless teens. These are homeless teens. I'm like, what is God telling us? I mean, what is it that he is trying to tell us? What are we missing? What do we need to be looking and seeing? And so we began praying about that, and then we work with the public in general, and so something came up. I needed to refer somebody to Pivot. That's what it was. I needed to refer somebody to Pivot. And I go to their website and I see this advertisement there about their tiny home project. And I'd already been down to the tiny home and I already toured the tiny home facility. And they said, we having a workshop. We'll tell you everything you need to know. I'm like, what? I said, Stephen, look at this. I said, look at this. And so we went down there. God worked out. It was on our day. We was off work one day. We were down there. Got to spend the day with the people at Pivot. The young man online, Keith Form, is a developer out of Texas, out of Dallas, and we got to spend time with him. He actually came out here. We came out here that day, went out to our property site, and he was able to give us some feedback and some impact on what we can do to be able to help our community and help our community in the homelessness. I worked this morning. We worked for the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission, and there was a prison ministry assignment I had to work this morning where we were, and that was one of the functions there. One of the program calls there was even for dealing with people who have a struggle with homelessness. As the pastor said earlier, man, there is a struggle. I mean, just go around, just drive around Oklahoma City, go downtown anytime. Come down here in the middle of the night, and you're gonna see some folks, some folks laying outside sleeping in a lot of places. Stephen, we go to work every morning, and we'll find folks just laying outside our front door and our back door, just sleeping. And so there is a great need for us to be able to be a community, and just like the pastor said, he was talking one day, was in his office, he talked about, I have a hard time telling the people no, have a hard time putting these folks out. We want to try to do everything for everybody, and sometimes that we can't, and sometimes us as pastors got that heart, we just want to do what we can for everybody, and somebody, man, you got to come to realization now, got to calm down, we can't do everything. But listen, this is a great opportunity for us to be able to be a vital impact in our community, to be able to help folks who people look at them differently. Come on, y'all. People look at you differently because you ain't got a place to stay. People look at you differently because you ain't shaved in a couple of days. People look at you differently because you smell some type of way. And then we could be able to give that opportunity to give them the skills, to have a place they can have their own. Mind you, with some accountability got to be there. They let them keep their house clean, be able to bathe daily, give them the opportunity to seek some counseling and to be able to get some employment, to be able to teach them how to budget their money and all that kind of good stuff, to be helpful, to be able to give back to somebody else in the long run. I mean, that's the goal, and God has put it out there for us. He made it plain. He made it clear. Listen, he even made it simple. Stephen went lying. Pivot laid out everything. Stuff that people probably would sell you, they gave it to you. They just gave it to us. They just gave it to us. So this is a great opportunity for us to put, as the pastor said earlier, listen, it's a team thing. It's not an I thing. It's a we thing. Listen, there are so many homeless people. There's so many unsaved people that we can reach any and everybody. We can reach them for the kingdom of Christ.
Thank you. And if there was anybody else wanting to say anything else, I really would like a word from you, Mr. John Pettis. Have you been inspired yet?
he is listening, I can tell.
Okay.
And observing.
What about Keith online? Does he have the ability to talk to us? He does not. Okay. Mr. Keith, in undergoing a project like this, what is it from a construction standpoint? What is it that you think we need to do? You've been out here to survey the land. What is it you think we need to do and be looking at from that standpoint? Yes.
I know this is going to be new for this program and the organization putting all this together. But while we are coming together and getting ready to get to know each other and what everyone brings to the table and what they offer, do we have like a blanket of what it's going to take from each organization to be involved in this program? What kind of time or what kind of, input it's going to take through the application process? Do the partners need to be involved before, they say, count me in?
And I believe over the next few days, we'll have some of those answers. We just wanted to get this initial meeting in place so that, our grant writer would be able to look at it and be able, she's actually, disseminating all the information, putting the information together. So next meeting we have, I'm sure she will be in attendance, and she can, kind of break down those numbers, what those, partnerships will look like, et cetera. So what we'll do is, keep everybody in the loop. And that's why, we ask for the contact information so that as we continue moving forward, you guys will be right there with us.
We recognize, you guys, this is a huge undertaking. But you know what? It was the same thing when we started, even to move to the refreshing period. So we need to just exhale, talk to the Lord, and let's get it moving. Now, we have had experience working. We got a grant with the Oklahoma City Police Department about, 2011, where we were literally working with the Juvenile Justice Bureau and the Department of Corrections. And so we had a upfront interaction with that population. And as we've already heard, the need is so great. When we turn around and we have children talking about suicide, not feeling wanted, being bullied, there has to be a place. And that's, again, where we are, a place that they can come and receive the life skills that they need, to receive the therapeutic needs that they have, the legal, all of that. So, yeah, we're in the moment, but we're in the moment. And God has given us some expertise, some experts in the field. And again, that's where we need all of you. Because again, we talked about the village concept. No one entity has all the answers. It takes everybody working together. And we again just say thank you. And we would like to have some dialogue in the moment, but we won't. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out, are we partnering with Pivot, or are we just mirroring what they're doing? Like, is it going to be called Pivot if we do the tiny homes, or is it going to be called something else from the Refreshing Campus? Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. No, this is our project. What they're doing is basically making available to us any resources that they have. They're making available to us any contacts that they have, and they're going to walk us through the process. So it's not a derivative of Pivot or anything like that. This is us from grassroots, bringing this thing about. Hi, Keith. We can hear you. Hold on just a sec. All right. Keith?
Yes.
Okay, we can hear you.
How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Brother Stephen, it's good to see you. Brother Rollins, Pastor Rollins, it's good to see you too.
Yes, sir. So what from your perspective, what expertise can you bring, to the project, knowledge, skills? What is it that we need from the construction, looking at the construction aspect of it?
Well, in my opinion, the very first thing, obviously after, finding funding and figure out where we're going to build it, is, working with the city and your council members to work through the permitting to see if the city will allow or allow special zoning for a project like this. That's you can't do anything until you get those approvals, or at least those conversations started.
Yes, and we have a surveyor, a land surveyor, that will be coming out within the up and coming days to kind of give us a good perspective of what it is that we are working with. So is that kind of who you're talking about, that specialist?
Yeah, that's your very first start, is to but I think maybe even before the surveyor, you need to find out if the property is allowed to have what they call in Texas auxiliary dwelling units, little tiny homes, if you will. Is the property zoned for that? Will you need to rezone the property for that? Will there need to be special meetings and special permissions to allow this?
Gotcha. And those are questions that we will be posing. We haven't got to that, but in the up and coming days, we definitely will be meeting with those individuals that can, give us that information. But we're pretty confident that, the land that we have is, it's already commercially zoned, but I do understand there are some other zoning provisions that have to be made. So we will be definitely looking into those within the next up and coming days.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'll hang up, but I'm gonna be watching online. If you got any more questions, Pastor Rollins, please feel free to call me back.
All right, thank you, Keith, for joining us. God bless. All right.
Is Pivot just overwhelmed by with numbers that they're saying, that we have to have some help, or is the city just saying, we're running out of room, we don't have space? Can we talk a little bit about that? Is Pivot saying, we got to have some help? We're showing you all of our books is because we've gone as far as we can go?
Yes, that was the purpose of them, I believe, presenting these seminars, because they're busting out the seams. And they've been doing it for so long, so, they pretty much are the experts. It's not a competition or anything like that. So they're making available, they essentially said to any organization, any agency that's in a position to replicate, duplicate this, model this, here's your opportunity to do so. The need is great. So like I said, they're busting out of the seams there. So they're like, whatever we can do to assist you or any other organization, if you have the space, if you have the room, if you're in a position to build, then we want to partner with you so that we can meet the overall needs of the community.
Mm-hmm. They have 40. Is it 40, Stephen? They have. So there's 30. It's 20 now, right? So they have 20 homes at the present time, and they projected to build 20 more by the end of this year. The deal is, just like the homeless population, could not one entity handle it by themselves? They can't. We could tell you, we go to work every day. We see homeless people walking up and down that street. And some people, how long was their waiting list? Was it like a year or something? They have a waiting list, people trying to get in, and they have no time limit on the amount of time that you can stay in the tiny homes. I think it's about a 2-year average, but you can get in the tiny home. It's only 20 of them. You stay there 2 years. You take people who want to get in. It takes them a while to get there. Yeah, they have some other shelters. They have a day shelter that you could come in at 4 o'clock in the night and go back the next day.
They have shelters for the younger children, the younger youth or whatever. That they have where, they don't put a time limit on them. If they walk and they abide by the guidelines of the programs, they can continue, say if they come in at 16, they can continue until 24 and graduate into the tiny home program, which is, the next phase for them in, independent living.
For other people, so are they contracting most of their? Are they outsourcing most of their counseling and?
They do have internal resources, counseling, therapy. They do have internal, but they also contract from a lot of other community agencies for different services. So they do have a lot of, external contracts as well.
Are they providing more on campus, more of the basic needs? Like, I know we got tiny homes. Are they providing in that home like a wash and dryer? Is there I almost said washateria. Is there a laundromat that's included on campus?
Yeah, it's all encompassing. They have community center. They have laundry facilities. Okay. They have counseling centers. So their campus is all encompassing of everything that they need to be able to, for the young people to be able to live.
Built those from ground up?
For ground up. They have maybe about 1.5 acres more than we do. They have a total of like 12 point something acreage, and they did their homes in phases. You know, they were in a position to, you know, being that they've been running their programs for a long time. They did, I think, 4 starting off, you know, to make sure that they had the, you know, the flow, the assistance, all the, you know, capital that they needed, and they kept building from there. And over the course of the last couple years, they've been able to, you know, get 20, I think, yeah, they're up to like 21, 22, and right now they're building another additional 20.
The last phase they about to build right now is going to be at DHS homes. So those will be homes that DHS will place their kids in those homes. So those kids might be under the age of 18.
Man, I definitely think this is heaven sent. It's crazy how I was just discharging a teenager. It was like 2 days before I got the message about this, and when he was discharging, he'd been into the facility for 2 years, and he haven't been working his treatment. Well, he finally decided to work his treatment, and he's about to get ready to discharge. But his parents was in jail, and he didn't know who his biological father was. But he's about to get out. Age out, but he didn't have nowhere to go. And then 2 days later, and that was heavy on my heart because I had to discharge him. I had to try to find somewhere for him to go. But everywhere is full. There's no resources for it. And so whenever this ball gets rolling, it's going to be tons of kids thrown at us. So my question is whenever the kid do discharge, or say you get a homeless kid that he's about to discharge from our facility, and we need resources for him. Is it going to be something that he'll be able to just jump into, or he got to go through certain, you know, loopholes in order to be able to get accepted into the program? And then even whenever he's accepted into the program, are there going to be, I know you said there's probably like a counseling facility and stuff like that, so are they going to be assigned with a therapist and a doctor and a psychiatrist for, you know?
The way Pivot has it set up, each individual that they serve, they have their own therapist, they have their own case manager, and the case manager, of course, you know, sets up everything for each kid. And yes, they're able to meet each and every need, you know, through assessments and stuff. They do a whole lot of assessments. They gave us the assessments themselves to model, but yeah, they're able to meet every single need that an individual that walks through the door could possibly, you know, need. Yeah, I mean, and of course, you know, with us, you know, starting grassroots, you know, it's gonna be a lot of trial and error for us, you know, but you know, the model is there, and like Pastor Rollins was saying, man, they laid it all out for us. So you know, the blueprint is there. It's just a matter of, you know, galvanizing the community. And getting those individuals, those organizations, agencies in place so that, you know, we can be successful and, you know, make the most impact.
Is it certain qualifications that they got to meet in order to be able to stay in the home?
What happens is, like I said, as long as they're meeting all the guidelines and, you know, all the rules and regulations of the program, and you can imagine, you know, what those rules and regulations, you know, are. They're vast in order to, you know, be able to run a community like that. So they will definitely be in a position if they, like I said, if they're an older youth. You know, of course, you got to assess what their needs are, and you know, it's going to be based on, you know, the availability of space. You know, as you said, you know, for a program like this, it's going to be a need, you know, and we're going to be meeting those needs. And of course, as we expand, you know, we'll be hopefully be able to meet a lot of those needs that, you know, individuals have. But of course, you know, starting off, it's going to be, you know, yeah, phase by phase.
My question was almost on the same page as Quintrell. 2 things I wanted to ask. When they actually, for instance, if they're in the system, or you know, have legal issues or whatever, when they come to the tiny home, will there be security on, on campus, and how would that play out? I was curious to know that. And also, will there be like daily structure? I know that you said they're going to have to go to a counselor and this and that, but will there be like a schedule for them to be productive throughout the day?
Right. Now, speaking to security, of course, with an operation like this and with the potential for anything to happen, is there when you're dealing with, the demographic that we'll be dealing with. So security is a must, and they do have, cameras everywhere. So they have, a security person that monitors those cameras. But the way that they're set up, it's all in they're positioned strategically so that, they have an eye on each and every, section. Right now, they are going to put up fencing at some point, but because they're still developing, they would have to keep tearing down the fence or whatever. But security is optimal. And, with the resources that we'll be able to get, of course, that won't be a problem. Speaking to, give me your last question again. Okay, so just depending on the age group, because the case manager is gonna facilitate all of that, whether they need to complete their GED, whether they need to get back in school, whether, they have work that they need to get to, whether they have aspirations to go to college. The case management team is the one that's going to kind of, point them in the direction of all the services that, the community or, that we'll be able to provide through services that we render.
What about transportation, like getting them to and from their different appointments, whatever they may be, or school, or whatever the case is?
Yeah, they partner with, transportation companies. They have agreements with, like Uber, Lyft. They also, locally or whatnot, they work closely with Department of, Transportation. Those are the type of partnerships that they have.
Let me add this note. Keith wanted to mention that, so Pivot has a community. There's a lot of different functions. They run the CIC is on their campus. They have Family Junction, which is a DHS facility for kids like 12 to 17. And then they had, what's the name of the place? The Point. That's where the drop-in daily homeless shelter in, where they can go. You can check in at 4 o'clock. Whether you stay or not is whether you have bed space, but you still can take a shower, wash your clothes, and eat. And then you have the tiny homes. They offer food for those young people over there, clothing. They cook dinner daily. So wherever you stay on campus, you can still come over there and eat. And then you talk about they have a community where you can come and take showers. And they're about to build a community center where they have some more I said take showers, but wash clothes, where you can wash clothes on campus. The deal is, Pivot gave the guide. It's not the gospel. What I mean by that is, it's the guide, not the gospel. This is how they do it. Just because they do it that way, we might not necessarily do it that way. We might add more structures. Listen, we might want to give you housing, but we want you to be successful in that. So we might say you got to have a structure that you need to either have a job or be in school. I mean, it depends how we set it up. We're going to set up the rules on what's going to be allowed and not allowed. So they allow that they don't say you can't use drugs. They just say you can't bring the drugs on the facility. So if you come back high, that's not an issue for them. It may or may not be an issue for us either. It depends on how we play it out and how we make the rules up. So that's a good thing. This is not regulated by the state. You ain't got to have a license to do this. So we'll be able to make up the rules as we think is going to be the best interest of people that we're customized in the best way we think we're going to serve. Dwayne, I had a statement.
Oh, the rules was what I was going to talk about. I think that in case, like you were talking about, a referral to the case manager, and then there's going to be set rules for everybody, but then the case manager is going to need to be astute enough to say, okay, well, we got to target these areas in you. And the other thing is that because we want them to succeed, when we're dealing with homeless youth that have been on the street and are streetwise for a while, we're also going to have to be gentle in some of those areas where there's some grace and there's, as far as the rules go, because, and I'm not saying, I'm thinking come home, come back loaded, you're gone, banned, or maybe a 3 strikes you're out thing, something like that. But it's going to have to be targeted toward each individual, and that's the way it's going to have to be written. Some rules are set in stone, and then the case manager helps those kids set their own rules, and that would be a good thing because that'll help them with goal setting and life skills.
Right, and as you can imagine, we're going to need, those case management services across the board. The case manager is probably going to be the most important person, in the organization.
What does the aging out look like? You mentioned that they're age out. What age were they aging out? 18? Wow.
So say, for instance, give you an example. You have a youth that came into the program at 13 years old, right? They did everything right up until and we're able to keep them up until 18. We're providing everything they need for them to be independent. When they get 18, we're saying, okay, you've done so good up until this point. We're going to transition you into one of our tiny homes. So they can continue to start the process for working, independency, keeping up their their place, etc. So that's kind of how that would work.
One thing the tiny home, the pivot does, they do charge them rent. The rent is they charge the rent on a sliding scale. I forgot what it was. The first month might be cheap, then it goes up to a point. They got 2 options. They pay the rent in cash, and then if you short some time on that cash, then you maybe can work it off. You can work around the campus or whatever. Another thing they do, if you've done everything you're supposed to do, correct me if I'm wrong, you paid your rent on time every month. When you finally leave to go get your own place, they give you half of what you paid in rent back to you.
Yeah, that's true.
To go back to help you to pay your down payment for your apartment or pay your utility fees or whatever the deal may be, which is a good, I guess, is incentive to pay your rent on time and then get them to do what they need to do. So when they go get their own place, they're not moving into a place where they have no lights or no water or whatnot.
And also to add to that, they're able to take everything inside the tiny home except for the bed. So they provide them all. Yes, they provide them all of their utensils, their cooking utensils. They provide everything they need within their living space, and they can take that with them when they leave.
The other comment I was going to make is, foster care. There are people that keep, and it's a horrible world we live in, but there are people that keep foster kids because their money coming in, and the day they turn 18, they turn them out. And that's a real need. It's not, being in the program before is wonderful, and that really would probably be better than the situation they're in. But when we got kids that are being turned out on the street because they're 18 and, well, I don't get money for you anymore.
And that's one of the areas we'll be able to catch them, if they do have, issues with, finding living space, whatever the case, we'll be able to help them in that sense, coming into the program.
So we even get kids that they didn't have their mom and their dad from the beginning. And so they been in different foster care facilities or whatever. Well, so say if we get somebody to come out that's like 13 years old or 14 years old or whatever, if they there for 2 years, like what's next after the 2 years if they did get into the tiny home?
What age did you say?
I mean, they 13, they can come out in 13, 14, because they only there for, it's residential care. So normally 6 months at a time, but if they ain't doing their treatment, then the insurance will keep paying for them to be there. So we got people that have been there about 3 years. And say if they came in at 12 and now they 15 years old, but then they get in the tiny home and they're there for 2 years, but they still got a little bit till they turn 18. Like what is?
Well, they don't graduate into tiny homes until like they're 18.
They can't go to the tiny home until they're 18. So before that, they'll be inside of a
shelter
like
environment.
A shelter
environment.
Okay.
Where What you have? What were you saying? Yeah.
We don't want the responsibility of a minor. We don't want to deal with DHS or any other thing. They got to be 18. They gonna have to. I mean, I think that's a rule that need to be implemented. You got to be 18 to even get into a tiny home. You got to be grown legally.
So it's gonna be kind of like how a neighborhood is. It ain't gonna be kind of like a big old. I guess it's buildings like connected to each other where the center is in the middle. You know,
So
what I'm saying?
no, a tiny home is literally actually a tiny home.
It's like
They're
a
about
neighborhood.
220 square feet. It's like an efficiency apartment. You have a bed, you have a dining room table, you have a microwave, you have I think some of them had ranges, didn't they? Ranges, they had a refrigerator, then you have a bathroom, a closet, they had showers and whatnot. But this is it's like you take 220 square feet, that's their home. This is where they live. Some have front doors and back doors, which is probably the best when it comes to safety, but they have doors on it, but it's just a little bitty home. The way Steven said they're in the community, the way Pivot they built theirs like in a neighborhood community where, like, if you go outside your house and you sit on your front porch and you talk to your neighbor, that's what they had it like, because they want you to be able to work on some of those other skills as well, to be able to communicate with your neighbor. Hey, man, you got some sugar I can borrow? You know, something like that going on.
Okay, I see.
They set it up, and like I said, currently they have 20-something homes on there preparing for the 40. And, you know, the model that they built as far as the community goes, as far as like how they didn't want it, you know, lined up, you know, regimented, you know, they didn't want it like that. So they made everything, you know, facing each other in like a circular with green spaces, you know, trees and, you know, ponds and stuff like that. So it would essentially be set up something similar to that.
I just wanted to make sure that I was following the structure, the flow of what we're talking about. So from ages 12 to 16, 17, there's going to be a shelter for the youth to be able to stay in, and then 18 on through 22, there's going to be the tiny homes.
Yes, and with the tiny homes piece, you know, you can't necessarily come in at 18 and expect to, you know, get into a tiny home. There's assessments that have to be taken so we can, you know, definitely see who we're dealing with. And I believe, don't they have a place where they actually house individuals temporarily, you know, to see if they're going to be a good fit for the community, you know, at large.
Where is the majority of the funding coming from these, from Pivot?
The state,
Most of them are private donations, but they did this last group of homes they built. They got the grant from OFA. The last group of homes they got, their funding came from OFA. But most of theirs are private donations. Because listen, once you build a community, you still got to be able to maintain the community. You got to maintain the houses, whether it is the electric, the water. You talked about security. They have a security guard on site. You have to have somebody who's, I don't know what her title was, like I call like a house mom or whatever. She's the one to go by and she do the inspections daily. She's the one that, hey, you know you was late last night coming in or whatever the deal is. She's the one that's building the relationship and the rapport with these kids to keep them accountable in the home they live in. But the funding, most of the funding came from private.
95% of it came from OFA. Well, no, 95% came from OFA.
From the building of the home. On the second phase, yes.
Okay, so when it comes to like the intake process of receiving the children, will it be just any child that is homeless, or will it be parents who are struggling with their children who are addicted to drugs? What is the target market looking like? Just homeless children? Huh? Yeah, what make them priority, Thomas said, but I was thinking more like, you know, are we just taking in those that we know who don't have anywhere to go? Or, because I work with a lot of students who parents come and their kids, they don't have anywhere to go. It's not really, and they're addicted to drugs. And that's been like the main issue in this high school, like 14, 15-year-olds, and they're just I mean, they don't have anywhere to go. So are we just taking in children who are homeless?
No, we serving the whole gamut because those individuals that are homeless, they probably have all of those issues. So we're definitely addressing all of those issues. And that's why, different partnerships with people, like you and organizations that you're in are going to be so vital because, that whether it be on a referral basis, whether we have, the internal resources that we need, it's going to be across the board. We'll be able to take all of them.
We're not going to be housing these, I guess, the certain needs that, like, for instance, we won't be facilitating programs for substance abuse or anger management. Are we not doing that? Are we just looking for partners?
So we will have those professionals on hand as well, but there's different phases, and I'm sure you could attest and kind of talk to that. There's different phases that individuals need depending on what their situation is. So we will definitely have those professionals under our roof as well.
What's the timing that you want to kind of get this ball up and rolling?
Our first major application that we'll be submitting is in September, and the turnaround time for that particular application, Travis, and you can help me with time frames. Wasn't it like with? No. I think that first meeting we had, Vanessa told us like what the turnaround times are as far as time frames. I want to say it's like 60 days or something before if you got funded, and then once you get funded, after that 60 days, it's hit the ground. Does that make sense? So in September, is when we turn in that first major application, and I believe there's some other applications for other entities that will be submitting as well, but that's our first big one.
A follow-up to that, do you need to get the zoning I mentioned, or I heard it mentioned earlier about zoning and permits? Does that all need to happen before the September application?
Definitely. We're talking about within days. Okay. We got to get that in place, and we are, talk to some individuals that, should be coming out within the next couple of weeks. It's with OFA.
Under which program?
And like I said, I don't have all of the specifics as far as our funding piece. There is our grant writer. She's providing all the information that we need. So I don't have the specifics as far as which ones. But we do have several entities with OFA that sit on the board that, we should, be able to, I know God will give us some favor in their eyesight, but I wouldn't be able to give you the specifics right now. Can we contact her? Okay.
As far as the land that you're going to use for the tiny home, right now this property is on R4, right, which is multifamily. If you do anything other than multifamily, you're going to have to go and do what's called a planned unit development. You're going to have to go through and redo that, redo the zoning. And that's what that gentleman was saying, is that you can't just go and start building. You've got to have it. It has to go through the planning commission. It has to go through the city council. And you're talking months. So when when the surveyor comes out here, you need to have an idea of, number one, how many tiny homes you're going to put and where you're going to put them. I would suggest that you do not include this facility as part of the rezoning process, because you should be able to keep this facility where it is intact by itself and not tied up with the tiny homes. Because when you tie it up with the tiny home and the grants and things, you're going to basically be, for lack of a better word, you're going to be limiting what you can do with this building after that. So when your surveyor comes out here, you need to tell him you want this carved out of this whole project. Because if you don't develop the tiny homes, you still have this. Even if you do develop the tiny homes, you still have this. So you're going to need to go with what's called a planned unit development. And that process could take as much as 5 or 6 months.
Yeah, we know that it's not going to be, just a rush job. That's why we're starting now. And like I said, this is just the introduction. So yeah, there's a lot of work in front of us, and we're aware of that. I we'll keep that in mind as we're, as the land surveyor comes out, to definitely, add that piece to keep this domain, this dwelling space out of the overall plan.
R4, and we need
R4
to look.
is multifamily. That's the highest zoning you can have. Okay, if you're going to do tiny homes, you're not going to be able to put them in an R4 unless you go and do a planned unit development. Because when you do a planned unit development, they're going to want to see exactly where those structures are going to be located on the property. Once you change it to a planned unit development, you lose your R4. And if you want to go back to the R4, you got to go through the process all over again.
Wow. Okay.
I was just showing John the PUD that they provided to us. They also, that document or those documents that he's referring to, they provided that to us as well. So, like I said, we have an individual that's scouring over, everything that they gave us, and implementing those things that we can and those that we can't. We're gonna have to find our way. And if nobody else has any questions, we can go ahead and maybe end.
Meet again. When will we meet again for those who are interested?
That's why the information, getting the information, if you guys could, just fill out the information that we provided to you so that we can have your contact information. And as we move forward, we'll send you the communication, the links, all those things that you need in regards to our next meetings.
Okay, so there is a form on the inside of your packet? Yeah. Okay.
This one, the one that looks like this. What was your question?
So with me being a mental health therapist, I'm just trying to see what part I will play in it. So would it be something like as if you get some candidates in these tiny homes, and if they're staying on what I call it campus, they're staying on campus, Pivot already have they set of counselors. So would I kind of be an additional piece just in case they exhausted, and you reach out to me for my services on the
We gonna need our own. So yeah, you'll be a part of us. And then if there's other service providers like yourself, that, maybe specialize in other areas or something, those are the type of contracts those are the type of services that we'll contract out, but we'll need some in-house.
When you say in-house, because I know you said you got like the group home facility before they go to the actual tiny home. So will we be connected to the kids or teenagers or whatever that's connected to the foster? I mean, not the foster, what's the word I'm looking for? Before you go to the tiny homes, they're in what, group home or what is it? In a shelter. Okay, so for the shelter, so basically we'll be everybody's at the shelter. That's who we'll be. Okay.
There are several dwelling spaces, for shelters. They're kind of set up in domiciles, but there are several buildings that, will be set up for those purposes, shelters. And like I said, as long as they're treatable, then we'll accept them. And then if not, we'll just refer them, however they need to be referred.
Real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to mention, just so we're clear, so we are looking at the pivot model, but this will be a refreshing campus tiny house initiative. So when we're talking about pivot, we're talking about the way they have modeled things, the way they have done things, and they have given us the model, and it is our job, and that's why we have everybody here today, so that we're looking at it and we're able to decide what do we want to do. So when you ask the question, Kentrell, about their therapists, we wouldn't be getting our referrals from Pivot because we're our own entity. And so we would need everything that Pivot has already, from transportation to therapists, case managers, all of those things. The Refreshing Tiny Home Initiative will need all of those moving parts as well. So it's not in conjunction with, we are our own entity. We saw the model, they gave it to us, and we are now using it. If that makes it better.
Thank you for summarizing that. Johnson, did you want to close this out? Was there any other questions, comments?
If we can we get the paperwork now? Give me those. If you would fill out, take a moment and let's fill out the paperwork so that we can have it. I just don't want us to go to something else and we don't have the information, at least those of you that are here, if we can get that. Please, if you would fill out those forms, so at least we would have some contacts and we can make individual contacts to talk with them.
We'll come around and pick them up for you.
Okay.
Good job. That was just a sign in. No, we need that. Thank you, ma'am.
And once again, I wanted to thank everybody. I don't know if we still have anybody on the channels or whatnot, but we could go ahead and shut those down. Oh, here.
So Tori Stewart was online, and she is the Fresh Sound Lounge manager. So I just want to make sure I put that out there. But we can go ahead and close it.
Okay, so we can shut the lives down, and also if there are some questions or if we want to continue networking or whatnot, we can definitely do that. And once again, thank you guys for coming out.
Before we close, can we just take a moment and just give a thank you to Steve for taking this on, a young man who has decided, thank you. He has put numbers of hours into this, and we'll put more. But again, we are appreciative. And we salute you, man, for taking the lead in spearheading this, and we're right in there with you.
God kind of told me what my position is. I was like, I've always been a background person, and he said, you're my Moses in a sense. Yeah. Moses was like, man, I can't do this. I hadn't been doing this. He said, I'll give you an Aaron. So therefore, I just have to trust and believe, have faith that, you guys are my Aarons. But I appreciate you guys.
Moses was the first pastor.